we kind of get stuck in that like number game, right? But if you were to have something happen in your life and you had 20 people just randomly show up at your home to tell you how great they thought you did or how proud they were of you, like how good would that make you feel?
I would
Right?
fall
So
apart.
when we right, exactly. So like when we sit and think like, oh, I got 20 likes, like think about that in the realm. Like if you had 20 people just show up to your house to tell you how proud they were of you or how much they liked what you did, like your heart would be bursting, right?
Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, where we dive into the high-octane world of market-leading shop owners, shop employees, and automotive enthusiasts from the aftermarket, restoration, performance, and racing industries. So strap in as we take you on an awesome journey with our guests as they share their real-life stories, lessons learned, business advice, and unfiltered insights to help you beat the school of hard knocks. Gearheads and Gasoline, fueling your success.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barry Out with Motorhead Digital, and my co-host is Annette Bauer with Annette Bauer Creative. We're excited to welcome Ahmed, the owner of Next Gen MFG podcast, to Gearheads and Gasoline.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say that I absolutely love, and I kid you not, I've told several people about you because I love the way that you connected with us. You helped me to kind of shift, both Barry and I being of older generation. You helped me kind of shift how I think of certain things in terms of how we engage with the younger generation. So I just wanted to start out by saying thank you for reaching out and opening up that dialogue, because you helped me to kind of shift how I think with things. And that's super important. So as another female within the industry, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know what I did, but thank you for saying that.
For sure. We'll jump more into that in a bit, but we always start off the podcast a little bit different with a kind of twist on a question. And that is, again, don't think like too specific about this. What is your favorite drink?
Right now, I've been downing mocha lattes like nobody's business. I've had like 6 this past 3 days. It's bad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So do you make them yourself or do you go somewhere?
I've been going to this cafe that my parents live by, but I just made one myself yesterday and it was pretty good too.
Nice. I'm always looking at ways like, how can I replicate, like what we get at kind of some of the coffee shops, so that one, it's not so expensive, but two, so that you can see like what you can add to it to kind of, pizzazz up the flavor.
Yeah, because $5 is a little bit crazy for a little latte. I was like, I can do that at home. But it was so good.
For real.
Oh my.
I'm a black coffee person, and I was watching a show just last night, a police show, right? And the main detective's going to the coffee shop and he goes, black. And the guy goes, oh, just bring black. And his partner, the next scene, his partner's got this big tall one with all the foam and proofy stuff on top. And it was just funny.
Yeah, that's me.
But yeah,
that's me when I get coffee.
Right. Black.
I'm with you. I'm the like foofy one.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to go to a coffee shop, I am not getting black coffee. That's just gross.
This black coffee.
Oh, God. This water.
Yeah, that's my second one. Like my favorite is, funny enough, so my favorite drink is chocolate milk.
That's a good one.
Or water, right? Those are my two go-tos.
And that's officially got her own chocolate milk glass now too. So
really? Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Check out the merch store for that.
Yes, we need to. That's a good opportunity to throw in a picture of your merch right there when I said you do.
Right. Barry's still working on those things.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
That's a relatively new ad. Right?
Yeah. So, but I did the bourbon glass. So I got a bourbon glass. I got to get one of those ordered for myself. So
I don't drink, but I would totally order that.
Yeah, they're cool.
Right.
Well, you can put orange juice in, or you can
maybe
put some coffee in them. I don't know if that would
pretend like I'm feeling something,
That's right. See? Very cool. Well, kind of going back to what I started with was one of the things that really drew me to wanting to have more conversation with you on the podcast was you had mentioned when you and I had some initial dialogue that you had some challenges kind of finding other females within your space that are in the automotive industry, learning the trade that you're learning, and just really kind of embracing that, because one, you are of a younger generation, and two, like, there isn't a lot of places that are very well advertised that help younger females coming into this industry, whether that is to, help mentor them or give them, areas where they can really study or whatnot. Like, there's just not a lot of promotion about that. So I want to learn a little bit more, because you had touched on it when we talked about how did you, because I know you leveraged TikTok to help you kind of build your community. And I'm super interested in that. I think that that's really cool.
So, yeah, growing up, it was really hard to find a community. And to be honest, I think it's because I wasn't looking in the right places. I was trying to find them in person in front of me when I should have really been looking at my phone. Because as soon as I had started posting when I was outside of high school, a lot of people were reaching out to me saying that they thought what I was doing was cool, or they had a group that they thought I would be interested in, and I would go to their accounts and I would see that they had been posting about this for a while. Like, they were in this community for a while and they lived around me. And that's when I realized I was looking in the wrong spot. Like, I should have been using social media to help me find people like me. So that's when I decided, all right, I'm going to start posting even more, start using hashtags, interact with people. That's a really big one that I just recently started doing, actually. I don't know why I didn't think it wasn't important to actually like comment on people's posts and follow them, but it's really important that you do that. And somehow that led to my friends and I creating a Discord, and there's 700 women in the trades that are in there, and a lot of them are just from social media. So that's really cool.
Right. That's awesome. And yeah, you're 100% right. It's social media definitely has its presence in everything that we do these days, right? It does help content creators. It does help professionals within the trades and in, just owning businesses to be able to share what is happening, in their business. And we've had several guests on that talk about, what they are doing with and without social media. But one of the things that is always static in that is that in order for social media to work for you, you have to harness what its content is, right? It is social by nature, right? Which means that you do need to engage with it. So it's great that you're like, oh man, that seemed like so obvious. But when you're desperately trying to find your community, sometimes what is most like the right thing to do is the hardest thing to find.
Yeah, for sure.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
So, question for you. I heard the word Discord.
Yes.
Okay. We hear Instagram, Facebook, TikTok all the time, but I don't want to get deep into that. But I've heard it. I don't know a lot about it. I'll admit. So tell us about that and tell us how it's working for your community and stuff.
So Discord, from what I know, it's like another social media platform, and it allows people to connect and play games with each other or stream movies and all that stuff. It's been amazing for us. We've been growing so much in the past. I think it's been only 2 months, and so many girls have been messaging us about how amazing it's been for them to be able to connect with people that are either in their trade, in their area, or know what it's like to be a woman in the trade. Mm-hmm. And that's like, we're not limited to just that. We also have chat rooms where if someone needs help with their car or their washing machine, we have women that would help and give advice. Mm-hmm. We also have like partnership areas or scholarship areas. So like if you were interested in applying for a scholarship, we have resources for that are listed. It's just been really great.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because you said games. I go, what the heck does that do, right? But if it sounds like you're having conversations, you're giving advice, you're helping others find resources that they might not know even exist, right?
And I don't know the limit to how many people you can have in a call, but you could have group calls. So we have some like every other week or something like that, where we just open up the main chat room and like girls hop in or out. We had a movie night on Valentine's Day for some girls. So we kind of try to, you know, be in the community and have these events. We're planning on doing a lot more in the future too. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I like that so again, going back to even like what I originally said, like even as you're talking now about the things that you guys are doing, right, it opens up opportunity for other people to learn how to be part of a community, right? Just because you're not in front of one another doesn't mean that you can't be part of a community. And being open-minded to like different ways, like you're saying, like what you did for Valentine's Day, right? Like I love the idea, but in our generation, the reality of us really doing that wasn't a thing, isn't really a thing. Like we just sit and think like, gosh, like we've got so many things to do. Sitting down in an open chat and hoping that somebody's going to come in, or just having general conversation with somebody, really isn't something that we're going to set time aside for. But you bring up how important it really is to do that, because in your process of doing that, you do create a community that you can leverage in other ways, especially as it applies to either your focus in school or your focus in trade, or where you're going with different initiatives.
So as we're talking about this Discord and stuff, Annette and I have interviewed a lot of people that struggle with getting good help in their shop or wherever, any type of business in the trades. And as you're saying this, I'm starting to wonder, with the younger generation, older generation looking for the younger generation that are skilled to work in their business, to hire them, right? Are they looking in the wrong place maybe?
Yes, 110%. Because I know for a fact a lot of those women and girls that are in there are skilled. Like they're sending me videos of what they do every day, and I'm like, okay, these women know their shit. They know what they know. And so we actually just created a chat room that's called job opportunities. So if one of the girls knows if there's a job opportunity in the area, they'll share it to that room so any other woman can apply to it or learn more about it and hopefully get a job from there. And I'm hoping that our sisterhood, which is what it's called, the Sisterhood of Trades, I'm hoping that it becomes an organization to where people could look to us and be like, can you speak for this woman? Can you speak for her work? And we could be like, yes, she does good work. She is a sisterhood approved tradeswoman. Like, yes, go for it. Hire her. That's like the ultimate goal, or one of the ultimate goals. And like that we're planning with our group.
The question that came to mind about that, though, is when you're recommending other people, here's a job here, is the younger generation on LinkedIn? Are they on platforms? Are they, because sometimes you have to go where the jobs are and go to those platforms and search those out. And I'm hoping they're not expecting businesses to come into Discord or come into a platform that the owner that might be in their 50s isn't using, doesn't know about, things like that.
So I'm trying to get a lot of them on LinkedIn. A lot of them actually are already using it. They just don't post that often. So I'm starting to record and post episodes on my podcast about LinkedIn learning how to use the app and post on it, because I've been doing really well on it. And I know for a fact, if I've been doing really well on it, these people that know how to use social media are going to do amazing. So I've been getting a couple of them to download and start using LinkedIn. And that's been really cool to see them in my feed as well.
Right. I do think that there is like, there's a responsibility. It's very common. Let me preface what I'm about to say. It's very common for older generations to take the perspective of, well, you have to learn my way, right? You have to communicate with me. You have to come to my table, right? But that isn't the reality of it, because as like I'll speak from the performance sides, right? So I come from drag racing. In our specific space, it's aging out, right? We see that in NHRA, we see that in a lot of other performance industries. But in order for us to get some of that younger generation more interested, whether it's in trades or whether it's in the sport itself, whether it's being spectators, whether it's being content creators, is we have to take that onus on us to meet them where like your generation thrives, right? Like it's not your responsibility to come to us, it's our responsibility to come to you and help bridge that gap of understanding, like how can we generationally teach you the knowledge that we have, so that as you come up through your industry, your sport, or whatever, that you have information that you already knowledge, the knowledge that you know, right? But that you can take the generational knowledge that we share and you can make this industry better. But there is onus on our generation to figure out how to bridge that gap. And I don't see that happening a lot. I see a lot of older generations doing the whole like, well, this is how I've done it for years and you need to figure it out. But that's not real.
No, I think it works both ways. And I'm glad you're on with us, Nish, because, I just learned about it. I've heard Discord, but I really didn't know what it was. And I do believe that, hopefully people see this podcast and go, business owners and go, oh, there's other platforms out there I didn't know about, and maybe I can find help there, because they're struggling. So I'm willing to bet that a lot of business owners will step up and go, let's go, or even find somebody in their team that maybe understand a platform better, go out and look for help at other platforms and meet younger people where they live, right? But again, it works both ways. We have business owners that we say that aren't even on LinkedIn, and I say you need to be on LinkedIn. It's where you're doing high-end work. You're doing $100,000 builds. Business owners, people with money, conduct business there. They may not be on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. They might be just there, and it works both ways, right? But if the generation that are looking for the younger generation don't know those platforms even exist, hopefully they'll hear this podcast and go, I need to go look and see what else is out there, right?
Yeah. Actually, for a little while, I had this form for my podcast, or I still have it, but for a little while, it was a requirement that my guests had to have a LinkedIn, because that's how I do a lot of my marketing. A lot of my viewership comes from LinkedIn, so I wanted them to be able to connect with whoever I was having on my podcast. But a lot of my people my age did not have a LinkedIn, so I just started pushing them to download LinkedIn, because truly, like, yes, LinkedIn is a great platform, but for me personally, it's been life-changing, and I want them to be able to be exposed to that. So I really think we all have to meet each other halfway when it comes to social media and outreach. I think business owners don't need to go on Discord if they don't want to, but like TikTok and Instagram is a definite, because that's where our eyes are.
Mm-hmm.
And if they did want to go the extra step and try to reach out to tradespeople or certain people, they can look onto Discord and like join communities and see. But that's like low-key a lot of work, in my opinion. But definitely getting younger kids onto LinkedIn is very important. I think reteaching that in high school, I don't know if they do that anymore. They did when I was in high school for like one class, but that is really important. Like, your network is your net worth. So that honestly is really important, or that should come first. But
yeah, you are 100%. You hit the nail on the head. I would say, in my experience, I won't throw the years out there, but in my experience, it's 100% almost always who you know, not what you know.
I got my current job from who I know, so
100%. And that is good and bad, right? Because there's a lot of people who invest time in that knowledge side of it, just like what you're doing with school, right? Is that you invested a lot of time to learn what you know how to do, but ultimately at the end of the day, it sometimes comes down to more of who you know and them giving you an opportunity to either prove yourself or to teach you, right? Versus you coming in saying like, hey, I have this XYZ knowledge.
Right. And because of my LinkedIn, actually, that's how my employers found me. They saw my LinkedIn and they saw what I post and what I worked and like what I do. And that's kind of what started our relationship. And that's honestly what I wanted like the whole time, because I had seen people my age on TikTok being able to connect with business owners and then getting jobs, and I was like, that is the coolest thing, but I don't think I could manage that on that kind of social media. And I was right, like I couldn't, but I know what maybe LinkedIn might help me, and that's honestly what made me start posting there. And then it just kind of blew up and turned into whatever it turned into.
Hey guys, Jason here with AMD, and you're watching the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. Check this out.
So that's awesome. And, you know, for LinkedIn, for us, for example, I wasn't, for years, I was like there and I connected with people, but I never liked you have to go and put a note in there and say, hey, I saw that you're the same and we're in the same space, and bullshit. I freaking just connect. I started just connecting with automotive people. I made sure my bio said what I did, who I was. And I have a ton of connections, and then I see them in the feed and then I interact with them. And I think that's, to me, that worked better for me than sitting there putting some bullshit message in that we're in the same industry. And, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I just connect
people
with
won't
people.
do that too. There's a lot of people that said, I don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like, I just went to a bike store recently and a couple of things caught my eye. So I went and looked up the companies and then just connected with a couple of people that worked there. Cause I was like, I don't know, it's a cool part. I just want to look at it more on my feed. So I connected with them. And that nice. Right there, that's how it works. It's really just what interests you and who is involved in it. Connect with them, find them, see them on your feed.
Yeah. You know, I was actually having a conversation with somebody yesterday about this, because I think that a lot of times, especially as social media kind of evolves, right, that we really get caught up in seeing what influencers are doing on social, right? And we think like, oh, in order for our social to be successful, we have to have 1,000 likes and 200 comments and all these shares and whatnot. But the reality of it is I saw a comment the other day that said we kind of get stuck in that like number game, right? But if you were to have something happen in your life and you had 20 people just randomly show up at your home to tell you how great they thought you did or how proud they were of you, like how good would that make you feel?
I would
right?
fall
So
apart.
right, exactly. So like when we sit and think like, oh, I got 20 likes, like think about that in the realm. Like if you had 20 people just show up to your house to tell you how proud they were of you or how much they liked what you did, like your heart would be bursting, right? So like when we kind of get caught up in that numbers game and think like, oh, well, this isn't successful if we don't have X number of what, it isn't really about that. It's about posting what you like and being authentic in who you are and making that connection by that process, right? Not trying to be somebody that you're not, or putting this facade on that you think is going to attract the right people.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people my age are good at being themselves and sharing that. Like I've seen that everywhere. And I think LinkedIn also just needs to get a little bit of that too.
Right.
It's interesting too. And that we've had customers that are like, we're doing social media for, right? And there's not a lot of likes or comments and things like that, but their direct traffic, okay, is higher for Google Analytics. Their direct traffic is higher than their organic search, we usually don't get that unless they're doing like TV or radio or print. And these are customers that aren't doing any of that. And
right.
What we're saying is, look, just because they don't like or comment doesn't mean they're not seeing your stuff and it's not registering, right?
Yeah.
They're going out and searching for you by name and things like that. That's why the direct traffic's higher. And that's the same way with any type of posting. Don't look to get those numbers. Be consistent, be original, be authentic, right?
Look to get those questions. That's a really good way to see it.
But keep doing that, right? Because like you, and actually that kind of throws me into my next question is, you kind of talking about how you've leveraged LinkedIn, right? Not only for your generation, but for the things that you're looking to pursue, and really kind of building that community within LinkedIn. How would you recommend that people do that, right? Like how did you learn more about how to utilize LinkedIn and leverage it to your advantage?
So I had really great mentors that I would just like watch how they post, and I started realizing, okay, I could definitely do this because I post with hashtags all the time. And I've always wanted to post about what I do at my job. I just didn't really record myself, so that was my excuse to do that. And I would honestly just post about my day, boring stuff about my day, or like what I learned. A really good one actually is if you listen to podcasts like this one and you post about it and you mention the podcast hosts and the name of the podcast, because they usually have LinkedIn pages, you'll get a lot of interactions because whoever you mention's followers will see that, and then they might repost it, so then even a lot more people will see it. Like it's a whole domino effect. Mentioning people is your best bet, honestly. Um, and it could be something done like if you like Coca-Cola, make a post about how Coca-Cola is really important to you and mention their company, or if you are into, like, I'm into RC cars, I post about that a lot and I mention companies a lot just to see if people will connect with me, basically. But that's a really good way to build your network as well.
Right. I totally agree. I love it. Again, kind of going back to the conversation that was happening, like I do social media all day long. So I was like having this conversation about, again, like what we were talking about, like the engagement and likes and all that other stuff. But the thing that this person really kind of goes back to sometimes is that, like, oh, I need to tell the whole story, right? Or I need it to be perfect because, and this is actually a kickback to how Barry and I met, was that a lot of times we get so caught up in our own heads of thinking like what we put out there has to be perfect, right? That it's got to tell the whole story, that it's got to be perfect, it's got to be this. And the thing I was trying to express to this person was it doesn't need to be overproduced, it needs to be authentic. It's okay just to put little clips or snippets out there because you want to dangle the carrot just enough for somebody to say like, hey, I want to know more about this person or learn more about what they're talking about. You don't want to give the whole story for them to be like, cool, got it, exit stage,
Exactly.
That's not how you want to
You
do
want to
it.
tease it.
Yeah, 100%. And, being able to get to that point where you're okay with it not being perfect, right? And again, telling that whole story, I think is going to go a long way for a lot of people.
Yeah, about like the whole perfection thing, like if you look through my random posts on LinkedIn, you'll be like, oh, this is definitely like a young girl posting, because I am in no way, shape, or form a professional. When I post, it's just me being authentic, my brain just dumping, and of course I'll go in there and take out my typos and make sure I didn't cuss, but I want my meaning and my message to be genuine, and like if I ask a question, I want it to be genuine. I don't care if it sounds like it's coming from a 12-year-old, because a question is a question regardless of who it's coming from.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter what age you are or not,
Exactly.
right? It is about, again, like you said, 100% showing up and being authentic in who you are. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with asking questions. Again, how I mentioned the way that Barry and I met was he was doing a session at SEMA and he was talking about social media. And so I pop into all those sessions to see what can I learn? What is everybody talking about? And one of the things that they were talking about with fab shops and different restoration shops was people were saying like, well, I just feel uncomfortable. Like, I don't really know, like I'm not comfortable in front of the camera. And the advice that I shared at that time was, it's okay to be vulnerable, right? Like that's how you connect with your audience. And exactly what you're saying is being the real you and just putting it out there and saying like, hey, I don't have to be you. I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be this, that, or the other, but I'm coming to you in all authenticity and sincerity of who I am. And that was kind of my message, and what I'd shared at his session was it's okay to be vulnerable because your audience needs that, right? They're not looking for somebody who's produced. They're looking for somebody who's just like them.
Yes. Heavy on the just like them. And I think that's what people reached out to me a lot when I was first starting out, because I was just an operator, a machine operator, and I was on the floor, and I thought that that's all, like, I didn't think that was that important, basically, but people showed me that was very important. Like, that's the backbone of manufacturing, like, people on the floor. So that kind of, I took that mindset to the rest of the world, I want to say. Like, everyone's important and everyone's experiences are important. So let's try to reflect that, Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but that was that.
I love it. I love it.
Annette will tell you that my biggest problem is I'm a perfectionist. I try to make my videos perfect when I try to talk to the camera, and hence I haven't been doing enough of them. And I'm sitting here looking at a quote I have on my wall. So anybody doing this, and this is for most anything, and this is from a mentor I had, is start simple, get fancy later, if necessary, right? And be authentic. So add to that, be authentic. We have one of our customers is starting to do talk to his phone and interview people at events and stuff like that. And he's getting into it big time. It was funny the other day, he's in South Carolina, and his phone was getting really hot. So he put it in the refrigerator, and then he forgot it was in there. And then he decided to do a video, and it's all blurry because it was fogging up and stuff. I thought that was hilarious. So, but he was funny. He just went with it.
I'm going to be in Tennessee this month, so I'm going to be dealing with that heat too.
Nice. That's me and my husband's like 3 to 5 year plan is to move to Tennessee.
Really?
So we're in California.
Oh,
yeah.
Sick. Okay.
Get the heck out of California.
I was going to say, get the heck out of Cali. I'm in North Carolina right now, so when you're in Tennessee, let me know. We'll be pretty close.
Like girl, that is like when we were looking at, and we still are. I can't say for sure that Tennessee is where we're going to land, but we have looked at both Tennessee and North Carolina. So
North Carolina's getting real busy, but it's so beautiful. Oh my!
I'm looking at South Carolina myself because I'm in New York. So,
what part of New York are you in?
What's that?
What part of New York are you in?
Way upstate, outside of Rochester. We're in the Finger Lakes area.
I'm in Buffalo right now, so we're like
really?
Yeah, I'm visiting my family. Yeah, what? We're so close.
Yeah, I'm right off, 15 minutes off exit 43 on 90.
I don't know where that is, to be honest. I'm like
main road that goes along through that cuts New York State in half.
Got you. Okay. I'm like I only know Massachusetts barely and North Carolina now, so.
But awesome. So, what are some ways that you would recommend for youth of your generation to get more involved in the trades, to pursue what their interest is, especially as it applies to the automotive industry or manufacturing or trades in general? Like, what would you recommend?
Okay, so I would recommend checking out resources like this podcast and also my podcast, Next Gen MFG. Definitely look into the Sisterhood of Trades Instagram and TikTok accounts. If you're a woman and you want to follow the Discord, I would say do that. We're coming out with a website soon that'll have more resources, and basically everything that's on the Discord will be available for people on the website. And we're coming out with a podcast soon. I guess I could tease this right now, but we're coming out with a podcast, me and the 3 girls, and we'll be having guests every other episode. And we'll just be talking about our experiences in the trades, lessons we've learned, clothing, tips, all kinds of stuff. I highly recommend going to any podcast app that you use and looking up the trade that you're interested in, because most likely there was already a couple episodes out, and that is so invaluable. YouTube is also a really great resource. There's a lot of free things on YouTube, so definitely use that. And talk to a trusted adult about trade school if you're really that interested, because trade school changed my life as well. So, yeah.
One thing that I listened to some of your clips on Instagram and listening to your last episode on Spotify. And one thing that that came to me was there's a lot of young ladies in the industry or want to get in the industry and they're kind of intimidated maybe. What's your thoughts about that as far as, hey, get out there, do your thing, don't be intimidated?
So our first episode's going to be about this, but honestly, get over it. Like, nobody's looking at you, nobody's watching you, and if it feels like they are, they have no business doing that. Ask your questions. Don't be shy about asking questions because there are no dumb questions at all. Write everything down. A pen and a paper is your best friend. Um, and I was very scared when I first like went to a trade show because I was surrounded by older men and women and I couldn't really relate to them. But when they had came up to me, they were all very proud of me and excited for me to be there because they had wanted a young person to be there. So don't think so negatively when you're first walking in. Reframe it and think that these people want you there. They want to teach you and they want you to be the best you can be. And if they're harsh on you, it might be because they're trying to tough love you into that person. But just try it. Just try it.
What's your recommendation for trade shows and stuff? What shows have you gone to, and what can young people think about a trade show? Because seriously, they probably don't even know some trade shows exist. You know, Annette and I are members of SEMA, PRI. We do those shows. Those are our events. And I can tell you, after being on the ARMO Select Committee, it changed the way people looked at me. How do you get involved? You know, I got involved. Tell us about that. How should younger people think about the trade shows and getting involved with that?
I got lucky when I got involved, and honestly, just reach out to people. IMTS is a really great manufacturing trade show. It's every 2 years. There's also FabTech, fabrication technology and welding, if you're interested in metalworking, and that's around the same time, but I believe it's every other year. Actually, sometimes it's in October. PRI is a big one because my best friend just went to PRI last year, and I'm so proud of her for going, and hopefully I get to go this year and I'll see her this year. There's also the quality show, which is the show I'm going to. It's 3 shows in one: quality, assembly, and adhesives. But you know, it is what it says it is. It's quality, adhesives, and assembly all in one. There's another show. It's more of a conference. The Accelerated. Oh God, hold on. I'm blanking on the name of the institution, but it's in Virginia, and I'll be attending that at the end of this month. And these places are a wealth of information. These people just give out information. They give out merchandise. They want you to be there. They want you to talk to them. And yeah, like, it's life-changing. Amazing. I don't know how else to explain it other than please go to a trade show. If you've never gone to a trade show before, do it. You won't regret it. These people are so nice. They're so willing to give information out and resources. It's crazy.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Motorhead Digital. Motorhead Digital are digital marketing experts for your automotive aftermarket, restoration, performance, race, and restyling shop. They help you supercharge your shop's website, social media, and entire online presence to attract those badass customers you're looking for. Check us out at motorheaddigital.com.
And there's so much to see, right? Like when you're talking about coming from whether you work in the metal, industry, or you work in the automotive industry, or you work in the performance side, or you a content creator, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Like going to any one of these shows, no matter where your niche is, not only gives you the opportunity to be able to network with other people that are in your area of interest, but it also allows you to see and kind of boost that creative thought of like, oh, I could do this, or I can get involved here, or just having those open eyes to kind of absorb it all and figure out where you can contribute.
Exactly. And if this podcast is coming out before May, I can send you guys a couple of more future trade shows that I know are happening. Yeah, because there's a lot happening this month, but like right now. So I'm not even worried about
this.
Send us
what you got. We'll see how it'd be toward the end of May.
All right, perfect. Yeah. I could send you a bunch of June and July ones. This season right now is like peak trade show season. There's so many things happening.
Nice.
Are the trade shows that you're like, for SEMA specifically, you have to be working in the industry to go to that show. Okay. Cause it's industry only. Are the trade shows that you're going to that you've been talking about, do you have to work in the industry to get into those?
So
Good.
IMTS, you did not have to. There's certain ways you could get free passes. I know you might have to pay for conferences. There's also like the student summit, so they allow students. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the ones that I look at least are open to all, because I'm not interested in that. I never go with my job. I always go by myself. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I just got this new job, so I don't know. But normally in my experiences, I've gone to trade shows by myself, not with my company. So I know you could do it without your company.
And I don't know about PRI is it's like you have to be a member, but it's like $40. So I don't know if it's as strict as SEMA is, but
I don't think so. And also I know some tech schools like NASCAR Tech had a deal with PR, like not a deal, but like you could get passes, and depending on I used to work at a machine shop that made valves, so they also provided passes for PRI as well. So depending on where you work, you might be able to just get passes.
Yeah. So in general, for PRI, you do have to be a PRI member. It is $40 to join. But just like SEMA, so PRI does have a day that is open to the public. SEMA also has that. So you can kind of come in and have a general look at everything. You don't get access to everything, but you get a pretty good feel for what it is. That's a really good way for those specific organizations to get interest from general public and get them to be involved in SEMA or be involved in PRI. Ultimately, we really like seeing that if it's something that you're investing your time in, that you contribute some way, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping
volunteering. Yeah,
sorry.
if there's go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's why I just wanted to say this year I'm definitely going to PRI.
That's awesome. Well, I'll be there. I know that. So make sure you look me up. Annette and I are both on select committees for SEMA, and I found it very rewarding to volunteer. And that's something that any other trade organization, if you can volunteer somehow, that definitely ups your game too, because you meet people that you wouldn't normally meet just walking the trade show floor. You get involved with things that you wouldn't normally do. You learn about things that a lot of people don't, it's outside the normal public preview, and you learn a lot about the industries that you're interested in by being involved as a volunteer.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I knew of a couple of women's organizations like Jessie Combs, and like I knew they were involved, and I would reach out to them a lot, and we kind of talked. But I was on another coast, so it was really hard in high school to be able to just jump on a flight and like go volunteer. But oh my god, if I could, I would have. And I actually met a friend recently, and I was able to interview her, and she did that. So like honestly, I kind of felt like I lived through her real quick, because we're the same age. So that means at the time that I wanted to do it, she was doing it, and I just like,
right.
Oh, that's like, that made me feel really happy actually. But
that's the Women's Forum. Is it? I can't remember the name exactly, down in Florida. That just happened, and you went last year. The Women's Forum for SEMA.
Oh, the Women's Leadership Forum.
Leadership Forum. That's it. That's
through SBN. So that is
the SEMA Business Women's Network, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we do a Women's Leadership Forum every year. We actually just did it in Orlando, Florida. And it's a really great opportunity for women of all ages, right, to come in and learn more about how to be better professionals within your space, right? It isn't specific to like, hey, you have to be in manufacturing, or you have to be in a sales job, or you have to be, right? It's open to all women within the space of learning how to improve yourself, better your techniques, be better managers, be better leaders, those types of things. So it's a really great opportunity to not only connect with 100 different women from all over the United States, from every different genre, and just kind of have a very good collaborative and collective time together.
Okay, this is something I would love to share on the Discord too. Like this is perfect. We have a lot of people who are interested in cars and automotive there, so literally perfect.
Yeah, check out
Yeah,
the
the SEMA,
SBN Instagram, right? There's a lot of posts about that event.
yeah, it's SBN_SEMA. So it's a really, I'm really happy and excited to be part of it. There's, again, some absolutely amazing women that are involved in it. And the only flip side to it is just like with SEMA, right? In order for you to be a member of SBN, you have to be a member of SEMA. You have to be involved in some form of the industry, which we're looking at ways that we can help bridge that gap, right? Because just like how you came to us and said like, hey, I'm interested in having a conversation, I know lots of girls who are like, hey, I'm really interested in getting involved in the automotive space, but I'm not working with a company just yet. I don't have my foot in the door. How do I do that? How do I get involved? I don't have anybody to talk to. And so we're looking at ways to be able to bridge that gap for girls that are either coming out of high school or still early in their college careers of or trade schools, right? Of like, who do I talk to? Where do I get involved? How can I contribute? But I don't technically, belong to some type of company that is a member of SEMA.
Awesome. When I was in high school, I was mentoring or I was interning with a bike shop owner, Jay Shia in Boston, and she was really heavily involved in all that stuff. Like she'd gone to SEMA before. And so she's the one that taught me about all this stuff. She's the one that actually first taught me about the importance of your network and is somehow got me on a podcast for my first ever interview. And I literally had no knowledge at all. Like I was just messing around with bikes, not really even working on cars yet. So that was a life-changing moment for me. But that was when I had first started looking into SBN. Honestly, once I can afford it, 100% am joining. And then I'm also, I really want to, this is like probably super out in the future, but I want to sort of like the Jesse Combs Foundation, be able to provide scholarships. So with the Sisterhood of Trades, the whole purpose behind that was to be able to create scholarships for girls who are interested in trade school. Is again, I would not have gone to trade school if it were not for scholarships. My parents would not have paid. I would not have been able to go, point blank, period. But because I received so many scholarships and so much funding, I went. And I'm sure that there are so many other girls whose lives are unfortunately like that. Or unfortunately, they've never, ever, ever had tools in their life. And this scholarship might change that for them. Even if they're not interested in being in the trades, they might need tools to work on their car. I want to also be able to provide scholarships like that. So that's like a long-term goal, but that's something I definitely want to accomplish.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Annette Bauer Creative. At Annette Bauer Creative, we understand the power of visual storytelling in transforming brands and driving growth. From capturing the essence of your products and services to showcasing the unique solutions you offer, our professional imagery and reels help bring your brand to life. Fuel your brand and ignite your vision at AnnetteBauerCreative.com.
100%. That's how the Jesse Combs Foundation started, right? Jesse was like, hey, this is something that I want to do to give back, right? And that's exactly how it starts, with having that vision of how you want to contribute and give back to your own community, to lift and raise the women that are in your space and within the trades as a whole, right? My biggest quote that I share all the time, and I've heard this from a couple of our guests, I've heard it numerous other places, but high tides rise all boats, right? So we all rise together. Like I have seen lots of people within the industry of not just content creation, but photography, which is what I do, who kind of get into this gatekeeping aspect of things. And the important thing that I, try to really convey to people is that there is enough work for everybody, right? There is enough for everybody to share in. So help lift each other up, help create better versions of each person around you, because that's only going to benefit you.
And if there's not enough room at the top, then just build a bigger platform, because yes, there is in fact enough room at the top.
And
100%.
And there's a lot of opportunity out there, right? I went to trade school, but I never worked in it. but now we have a digital marketing agency that supports the industry, right? So there's something that to say for, you don't always have to be working on a machine, but you can work in the industry you love.
Exactly.
So think about those outside we call it the back of the house type work, right? If you want to work in the industry, get your foot wet, maybe start there and then get out on the floor, things like that, right?
Exactly. And that's what another thing we're trying to prove with our sisterhood stuff is if you still are passionate about the trade, but you don't want to get dirty, there's other important things that go into still making our country. So
100%. 100%. Well, it has been so awesome, Nush, learning so much about you. I love your feedback and opinion on everything. And again, I truly am thankful for what you kind of have bestowed upon me and how I look at communicating with your generation and learning how to bring your generation into our space from the perspective of that generational knowledge, welcoming you with open arms, learning from you, and it being a collaborative process. So thank you for that. And then with that, I'll see if Barry has any other questions. And if he doesn't.
No, I want to have Nush back in the future because I have a whole list of questions I didn't even ask, but it has to do with a lot of other stuff. So we'll just hold those for now.
Alrighty. Well, I wanted to say thank you guys so much for having me on and letting me yap a little bit more about the things that make sense to me and are important to me. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah. So we finish every podcast with what we call a speed round. So the way the speed round works is I don't want you to think too much about your responses. I literally want them to be like top of mind, and we'll go from there. So our first question is, what is your favorite driver, team, hot rod, or muscle car, truck, whatnot?
If I say it's a Mustang is my favorite muscle car, I look like a Mustang fangirl. But I'll say Mustang because I am a Mustang fangirl. That is what I drive. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Found on road dead. Other than that, there's nothing wrong with that, I guess. It's fine.
Well, it's funny, like I told you, my husband just bought a Ford Maverick. And so we have always been like, we've never really owned Fords in our family. So every time now he's like, this is what I drive. I'm like, oh yeah, that's okay. I'll be sure to come pick you up in my Chevy. So it's okay.
You know how many times I broke down? I've already broke down I can't. Like 3-4 times in the 5 years that I've had it. And every single time I've been picked up by a Toyota. So every single time.
Every single time. Well, at least you have friends.
At least, right?
Somebody come to your rescue. All right. Next question is, what is your favorite tool in your toolbox?
Calipers.
Those are very important. Oh my gosh, those get used, especially like on my side of things, performance side, we use that all the time. So
at this point, they're not even in my toolbox anymore. They're in my backpack.
Do you have a favorite racetrack, event, or car show?
I would say Grid Life. Grid Life is really fun. It's a drift event.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. I love that. And then this question stumps everybody, so don't feel like you're going to be alone in this, but this I feel like is a really important question, and that is, what is the best advice you've received and from whom?
Okay, my dad gave me this advice, and he gives it to me all the time when I get anxious, but he always says, don't listen to outside noise, and it's because I always get sucked up into what other people in my family think about what I'm doing, or other people in general. And while for some reason it may seem I'm very headstrong on social media, it's not always been that way. I was very anxious growing up and took that out a lot on my parents, actually. So that piece of advice from my dad has helped me immensely.
I love it. I love it. Perfect.
And he literally told, as soon as I landed as soon as I landed during my trip, he told me, hey, don't listen to the outside, because I was freaking out about something. And that was the first thing he said to me. So
don't listen to outside noise. I love it. That was great advice. Very cool. Well, that wraps it up for our speed round. Again, thank you so much for joining us and sharing what your knowledge is and where you're wanting to go with everything that you're doing. I can definitely say I'm proud of what you're doing for women in our space and your generation. So again, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. And, I struggle with a name for every show. Annette usually does that, but this is going to be the Youth Engagement Young Ladies episode on steroids. But anyways, that's it. Thanks for joining us today, Nush. And tell everybody how they can find you, where your podcast is, how they connect with you, how they can ask you questions, and maybe even be on your podcast if they're a young lady in the industry.
Yes, so I'm on Spotify and YouTube. You can look me up at Next Gen MFG. You can also look that up on Instagram and TikTok. Just add podcast at the end of it. And on any of my link trees, you should be able to find a Next Gen MFG request form. Click on that, request to be in my podcast, and we'll schedule something. I don't care if you're not in the trades. If you are studying STEM, I will also interview. If you have a business,
Nice.
I'll also interview you, because those are also really important careers that might interest younger kids. Yeah.
I love it.
Well, and my personal social media, what the heck? My full name, Nushrat AH. I forgot about that. Please follow me on my personals, and also on LinkedIn. Connect with me. Don't follow me. Connect with me.
Awesome. Well, that is it for our Gearheads and Gasoline podcast for this episode, where we are fueling your success. We know you don't want to miss an episode, so don't forget to smash that bell so that you get notified of every new episode. Click that like button, leave us a comment, and share with your people. And visit us repeatedly. We love it.